Trump supporters and right-wingers love to claim that they are being censored online by biased social media platforms. They are such victims, so I feel so bad for them. They often say, hey, look, I got suspended, for my opinion about COVID or Trump or whatever. And they argue that this is systemic and systematic left-wing bias against conservatives. By the way, what's conservative about COVID conspiracies? I don't know. It's bias against conservatives. And so today we are going to explore this and figure out, is there really systematic left-wing bias of this kind online? And it turns out that we have a new paper that looked at exactly this question. The paper was published in Nature, and it finds that it is true. It is true. Listen carefully now. Right-wingers do get suspended more at a higher rate online, but not because of political bias. The right-wingers are getting suspended more because they are sharing misinformation at way higher rates than left-wingers. They are spreading fake news at way higher rates than left-wingers. That's why they're getting suspended. They are violating the stated and publicly known terms and conditions of these platforms without a doubt. So let's dig into it. First and foremost, right-wingers are way more likely to consume and share information from low-quality sources. Low quality includes blog spam rewriting type sites, overt fake news sites, satire sites as if it's real news, and more. And despite their claims and beliefs about the fake news media, much of which they got from Trump, they are often completely unable to distinguish reliable from unreliable news, satire from serious reporting. In this first image that we're putting up on the screen, you see that Trump hashtags in red are way more likely to include articles from low-quality news sites compared to Biden hashtags. And if you say, well, according to whom? This is both as rated to fact checkers on the left side of your screen, but also as rated by politically balanced lay people. The study said, there will be those who say the fact checkers are themselves biased. So let's just find politically balanced lay people and say to them, rate the quality of these news sites. And in both cases, whether it's the professional fact checkers or the lay people, it is the Trump hashtags often associated with the low-quality conspiracy, fake news, and otherwise unreliable websites. This study in Nature, written by researchers from MIT Sloan School of Management, University of Oxford, Cornell University, and Yale, really digs into the true explanations for the more frequent suspensions of right-wing users online. They deserve it because of what they are posting. The first thing the study did is look at Twitter. And it looked specifically at Twitter suspensions after the 2020 election. They identified 100,000 Twitter users who shared content alongside election hashtags. From the 100,000 Twitter users, they took a random sampling of 900, half of whom used a Vote Biden Harris hashtag, half of whom used the Trump 2020 hashtag. They looked at the data. They looked at what these 9,000 users posted. And they found that the pro-Trump accounts were 4.4 times more likely to have been suspended than those who used Biden hashtags. Well, it must be bias, right? If the Trump supporters are suspended more often than the Biden supporters, it must be bias, right? Wrong. It turns out that the pro-Trump Twitter users were way more likely to be sharing news from hyper-partisan, fake news, and conspiracy websites that violated Twitter's own terms of service. That's why they were getting suspended. Now, if we zoom out from Twitter a little bit, although this is really acute on Twitter, this is arguably the worst on Twitter, it happens to be the case on every platform. The correlation between right-wing users and sharing low-quality information is highest on Twitter, but it's also a correlation on Facebook. It's a correlation on other platforms as well. Again, looking at both the ratings of the professional fact checkers and the politically balanced lay people, right-wingers are way more likely, on all platforms to share fake news, disinformation, and nonsense conspiracy theories. So let's now go to some of the takeaways. When we hear right-wingers get suspended more often, the first question should be, is that true? The second question is, are they being suspended because of political bias, or are the right-wingers doing something that rightly gets them suspended? And it appears to be that second option. Right-wingers and right-wing users claim bias, but platforms are just enforcing their policies on misinformation. Spreading false claims about COVID-19 and the 2020 election violates, or violated at the time that the study looked at the data, the terms of service of many of these platforms. Right-wingers were overwhelmingly the ones spreading disinformation about the 2020 election. They were overwhelmingly the ones spreading disinformation about COVID-19. Twitter, Facebook, other platforms have policies around this, and users, regardless of politics, are suspended when they violate the rules. Many right-wing users continue to claim that the 2020 US presidential was stolen or rigged to this day, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. And the false claims about election fraud and vote tampering violate some platform policies. And so, yes, some of those users get suspended. Many conservative accounts, shouldn't even say conservative, many right-wing reactionary accounts have been suspended for sharing debunked theories about COVID vaccines, causing mass deaths, or altering your DNA, or implanting a microchip. They've also gotten suspended for promoting false cures like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, injecting bleach, whatever. It's all been scientifically disproven. It violates the terms of service. That's why they're getting suspended, not because they want lower tax rates or they identify nominally as being conservative. Climate change. Right-wing users are more likely to post climate change denial and misinformation, claiming there is no such thing, it's a hoax, or whatever the case may be. Oftentimes, those posts rely on false or misleading data. A lot of it violates the T's and C's on these platforms, so they get suspended. Another common topic among right-wingers is spreading really disgusting stuff about LGBTQ plus people. For example, claims about grooming by LGBT teachers, or lies about gender-affirming care. This stuff violates the policies of many of these platforms. Remember the fiasco with the Olympics recently, and the Algerian boxer who just is a woman, was born a woman, always identified as a woman, is a woman, saying, oh, this was someone who transitioned, was born male. None of it was true. None of it was true. It violated policies, and some of them got suspended. QAnon stuff. QAnon conspiracy theories propagated largely by right-wing users, claims about secret cabals of elites engaging in child trafficking and satanic rituals, drinking the blood of children. This was significant around the 2020 election. Most platforms did not allow QAnon content. The right-wingers posting the QAnon content would get suspended. So understanding that, there's a deeper reality here as well. Right-wing users often engage with hyper-partisan content, not just because they're falling for it to a greater degree, they are, but also because the algorithms of the platforms favor engagement. The more sensationalist and acutely misleading content is more engaging because of the shock value. This means people repost and spread it more often, and that also leads to more enforcement actions. It's sort of like a vicious circle where they are victims of their own drive to the salacious content in a way. And then in the suspensions themselves, they are driving more propaganda by saying we're getting suspended because of the bias of the platforms, which is also not true. And then they play the victim. The right-wingers love playing the victim when they get suspended. They fail to mention, I've been posting nonsense conspiracies for 6 months and they finally got me. No, they won't tell you that. Their victim complex is then used to rile up the base and to keep the whole thing going. Ironically, right-wing media often promotes the idea that corporate media is biased, but when social media holds them accountable for posting nonsense, they go, oh, now we're the victims. So what are the takeaways here? Number one, what you're hearing about the bias is not true. Number two, Don't fall for it. Don't let them spread the lies. Don't retweet the stuff. Right-wing users are more frequently suspended because of their behavior, not their politics. That's the reality. Right-wing accounts are more likely to share disinformation. Engagement with low-quality content drives the higher suspension rates. And because the right-wing users are consuming and sharing more of this trash, they are more vulnerable to getting suspended for violating the policies. They aren't the victims of Facebook banning them. If they're victims at all, they're victims of the right-wing disinformation merchants who have tricked them into believing this stuff. So the victim complex furthers the spread of the disinformation. The disinformation leads to suspensions, which furthers the claims of being victimized. Ultimately, these are suspensions that they are themselves responsible for. The party of personal responsibility wants to blame everybody but themselves. It's the platforms that are biased. It's Democrats in Congress telling Twitter to suspend me. It's left-wing users reporting my content, when in reality, all that's going on is they are spreading content that violates terms and conditions. My advice would be learn some media literacy, learn to distinguish satirical news, fake news, and real news, and stop posting this stuff. As soon as you do, you'll stop getting suspended.